Well, you've certainly got sources. So let's talk about, without getting into how you learned this first, what the next shoe to drop is, because you told me again a day and a half ago and again last night, more's coming after this. What should we expect with Al Franken?
Well, Alex, ironically, I know Al Franken. Al Franken and I were on the TV show Politically Incorrect together with Bill Maher, who, while I disagree with him on many things, I certainly agree with him on the question of Islamic terrorism and marijuana. And I never thought Franken was funny, to be honest. I understand why he went into politics, because as a comedian, let's face it, not funny. This guy is no Aykroyd, you know?
Yes.
So, and he's a condescending, snotty liberal on top of it all. But my sources point out that this woman anchor is very much admired and respected. She's got a great reputation. She is well liked within the Fox family.
And she's got a photo.
Yes, and ironically, I understand she is giving her first interview to Jake Tapper. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jake handles this.
Yeah, why is she doing that if she's on Fox Radio? And well, that's not a good move.
Well, evidently she has some prior relationship with Tapper, they're friends, and she trusts him. Look, I think it's brave of her just to come out. This is mortifying to have a picture of a U.S. senator grabbing your chest on the internet, and it shows the hypocrisy of the left. In other words, Franken had to go down the line with the radical feminist agenda to get elected to the Senate. It's ironic that his win has always been disputed. Many believe that that his seat was stolen for him through Democratic chicanery.
Sure, of course, the guy's a joke, literally, figuratively. He's a failed comedian. But you said more are coming. Okay, so you did predict this. You did have it from your sources, and so thank you for giving us the exclusive.
I mean, I really think, Alex, the next big bombshell, in all honesty, is in the Golden State, where the assaults of various women by Senator Tony Montoya, veteran Democrat, union thug, have been covered up by De Leon, the Speaker, the President of the Senate, who's running for the Senate against Feinstein. Meanwhile, Adam Schiff is trying to submarine De Leon, so he's the guy feeding this all to the press because he wanted to run for Feinstein's seat, only to be rebuffed when she decided to seek another term. So it's fratricide within the Democratic Party. But
sure, their infighting's bringing him down. So a week ago they were saying get rid of Bill.
California is infinite, from what I'm told, just enormous, numerous.
So you're saying bigger than Hollywood is what you told me that day on the phone. Bigger than Hollywood is obviously California. The entire situation is going to be gigantic.
That's what my sources tell me, and of course it all boils down again to the. These are the people who pursue a radical feminist agenda and hold themselves out on these issues. So,
yeah, exactly. Do you notice that these men that are championing feminism tend to be the ones who are also engaging in this disrespectful and assault on women?
Millie Weaver, that's a great question. Millie Weaver, our reporter riding shotgun with us, Roger Stone. It's way disproportionate. Super leftist, anti-family liberals are admitting raping men, women, underage girls, hundreds in some cases per person. These sound like maniacs. I mean, what do you just run around all day like a maniac grabbing everybody?
Well, it's interesting, though, that it's coming to light. I mean, for how long did the mainstream media cover up for Bill Clinton's atrocious behavior? Not only grabbing women, biting through their upper lips, demanding oral sex.
So there was incredible entitlement. So we've only got the tip of the iceberg. How big is the berg under the waves?
It's just impossible to say. But look, I think we have to be somewhat judicious here. This is a question of a woman who's happy to let you know her name, who's got a long record of credibility as a person, and she has photos. Anybody can charge anybody with anything else. Roy Moore, he doesn't have a judgment against him. No court has found him guilty. He is accused. Voters have to look at the accuser and what they say and make their own decision.
And by the way, voters, the polls show, aren't buying it. It shows how anti-establishment folks are. I think Moore's admission of courting 17-year-old girls is creepy, but it's nothing compared to Weinstein and others. But what does it say that voters don't care? All the polls show they're doubling down. That shows the establishment literally is just hated.
And, you know, we live in a system where you are innocent until proven guilty. And a lot of times the problem with this movement of all these women coming forward is we're starting to just believe every single one of them, when the reality is that oftentimes men are falsely accused of rape or sexually assault, and then they become vindicated. So we need to make sure that we're looking at, are these women credible? Do they have any type of evidence? We're seeing the evidence here with this situation here with Al Franken. So as far as with Gary Moore or Roy Moore, we don't see that same amount of evidence, and that's why we should be questioning, we should be interrogating.
All right, that sets the table. When we come back, I want to ask a few questions. Why aren't we seeing the same evidence? A, B, clearly Moore thinks what he has done is normal under some Christian construct, so okay. But B, how do the Democrats survive this? But more importantly, C, what do we do if the Democrats are saying Roy Moore stepped down, Republicans are saying it, but then all these other big Democrats and people are involved in far worse? Let's ask Roger Stone that question straight ahead, because there are a lot of other big issues, like the Black Plague getting loose that's now drug resistant, and all these other big global issues in North Korea and the economy and great things going on. Ivanka Trump scores win with Senate plan to double child tax credit. I mean, there's a lot of crazy good stuff to cover, too. But right now is this big coming out of victims, and I think most of them are actually legitimate. They've been in the shadows until now. Again, the big $64 trillion question here is, why is all of the sexual abuse, the pedophilia, the Satanism, the occultism, why is it all coming out right now? And we know the answer, but I'm going to get both your takes and your angles on it, or if you disagree. Both Millie Weaver and, of course, Roger Stone. It's because the establishment's in trouble. Hollywood's falling apart. The Democrats that kind of ran this whole thing, they're losing their power. And now people see resistance against power structures, the UN, the EU, globalism, Hollywood, the Democratic Party. So they have the courage to come out. That's why most of these accusations have turned out to be true, especially against Weinstein and Spacey and all these Democrat producers. But you're going to have the Democrats try to jump on this wave and have their operatives accuse people. And so then how do we forensically look at the claims? Well, if they're Democratic Party operatives, or if they end up not showing the proof to get a big crest going, a big wave going, then you know that wave's fake or it's got to be suspect. But when it's somebody like Franken saying, okay, I'm sorry, well, you know that's just him trying to get out of the news. But I'm wondering what the next wave is. You just heard it's going to be California, not just Los Angeles, not just Hollywood, but California, and this elitist establishment that believes it can do anything and everything. But separately, I think Trump played this perfectly. Already had a trip set to Asia, did a great job out of the country, and then didn't endorse Roy Moore up front. You know, we were endorsing Roy Moore because he had better credentials and the Tea Party liked him. But I just wonder how uncannily Trump was right on this again. Roger Stone, what do you think's going on?
Well, Alex, look, I find it stunning that we just learned that Harvey Weinstein uses the same heavy-handed private detective, a nasty guy named Jack Palladino, who Bill Clinton used to threaten Kathleen Willey, or I should say Hillary used, because Palladino was engaged by Hillary. He is the most likely the person who made one of her dogs disappear. The other one was strangled and found on her front porch.
And by the way, he's finally gotten in trouble for a bunch of other stuff.
You know, her windshield broken. He's the guy who runs up to her, jogs up to her all dressed in black and says, essentially, if you know what's good for you, you'll keep your mouth shut. Now, epically working for Weinstein, doing the same thing, suppressing these women. This is the party of feminists. Ridiculous. By
the way, it even came out in the New York Times. They had to admit that Weinstein was using a team of, quote, former, which never happens, Mossad operatives, who are part of the leftist group in Israel that's trying to put Netanyahu in prison. I mean, it's just a fact. People always think Israel's one monolithic deal. No, it's the leftists and the conservatives as usual. There's different splits. What do you make of Weinstein using Mossad operatives against women?
Look, this guy had such a trail behind him that he had to silence these various starlets and other, attractive women that he had come on to. And he became so wealthy and so powerful, they begin to believe that they can suppress all of it. Look, there's a real distinction here between consensual sex and assault. I never thought, for example, that Bill Clinton should have been impeached for whatever consensually went on with Monica Lewinsky. It might have been distasteful, but that's not against her consent. It's not rape. It's not violence against women, which we know Bill was also quite capable of. So I do think you have to draw that distinction, but you have, as I point out, InfoWars broke this story. The reason I reached out to the night editor, Rob Dew, was to memorialize it. Again, tomorrow's news today at InfoWars. We have our ear to the ground, very much so, in Hollywood.
Well, I want to point out, you never say, hey, Alex, you ought to do this, you ought to do that. You kind of give me hints. So a day and a half ago, I get, you text message me, call me. Hey, this is coming, I'm told. I'm like, okay, what do we do? Well, let's just see. But 9 times out of 10, we wait and then we don't officially break stuff. I think we should just start, when you get something, we should just break it and say according to sources. But I'm glad that you ended up memorializing it last night, because I didn't even know you'd memorialized it and broken it. I just said, oh yeah, Stone told me a day and a half ago. So I'm glad you did that. Good instincts.
I think if you look on my Twitter feed, it actually says InfoWars exclusive. Franken's time in the barrel, etc.
And you've been banned on your regular Roger Stone. You now have Stone Cold Truth. They haven't banned that yet. We now have shocking.
Well, this is very interesting, Alex. Stone Cold Truth is not controlled by me. They are people who are Roger Stone and InfoWars fans. They put up what they choose. They sell my books and so on. Somebody had a parody site clearly marked as Roger Stone GOP. They operated it for 2 years. They rarely tweeted. They have violated no guidelines. I have no idea who controls this until the fellow who owns it told me he was banned recently. So, look, they're spoiling for a fight. I will be flying to San Francisco in the near future to file a devastating lawsuit against Twitter. I had a terrific conversation with Milo yesterday. He is going to be aiding the suit, probably as either a plaintiff or through an amicus brief. There are numerous others, Mark Dice, Joe Biggs. These guys have legitimate grudges, just like mine. Perhaps they aren't banned for life, as I am. But look, they're wrong on constitutional ground. There's First Amendment issues. There are service contract issues.
The point is they're massively discriminating us. And again, Al Franken on Monday testified he wants, quote, conservative sites implicated as Russian with no proof, that's you, Drudge, and myself, to be banned completely from social media, period, an internet ban. He called for that on Monday.
Yeah, it's fascism. That's fascism is what that is. And it's red baiting. It's this.
And it's been proven to be a fraud, and they're the ones that have been caught doing it. Let me ask Millie Weaver this question. What is this firestorm of sexual abuse and domination by the Democrats is only getting bigger? I mean, how you heard Roger, he said California is about to be engulfed. What's next?
Well, first, I want to point out the irony here that Al Franken was calling for conservative speakers to be considered guilty before anything else without any evidence. Well, I wonder if he's going to ask for a proper form of justice in this ordeal with Mrs. Leanne Tweakin. But here's the thing here. I do think that we are going to see more. We're going to continue to see more women coming out and more child stars, even men coming out having been sexually assaulted. But I think that we also will see more on the political sphere, because I think that we're going to see more attacks on both the Republicans and the Democrats. I feel like it would be hard to get people to buy into just only putting out false sexual assault allegations on Republicans and on Trump. So you throw in real cases like Harvey Weinstein, this case with Al Franken, and other cases, so that you can then get people to throw out the entire group. So
oh, exactly. And I predicted months ago they were going to build this wave. They were going to burn Weinstein. They'd covered it up for years. They decided, hey, we got to burn the Democrat brand, create a new one, get rid of the Clintons, and then try to use that as legitimacy to go after Trump next. By the way, they're now reporting, Daily Mail, that a 16-year-old says that Sylvester Stallone raped her and then forced her to perform oral sex on he and his bodyguard, and that he beat her in the head if she ever told a bombshell police report. I mean, this is just unraveling quicker and quicker.
It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Hollywood is full of filth and scum. These type of things go on there all the time. And, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. When people get amounts of power in their hand, people that can't handle a responsibility, they abuse it. And we're going to see that with powerful people, politicians.
Exactly.
The Washington swamp. It's going to be there.
Millie Weaver, great job. Roger Stone, thank you for joining us. Please join us again with other big breaking news. I mean, I should ask, you got any other giant bombshells that we should hold you over for, or should we just have you back tomorrow?
Stay tuned.
All right. I mean, Roger did break it. And I just wish, I was just like Al Franken. I'm like, I don't want to get sued. Let's just wait on this. But then I guess he went ahead and released it last night, so we'd get the scoop. So good job, Roger.